cause and effect is whatever you perceive it to be. If our perspectives differ, our cause and effect differs. Cause and effect is determined by an individual's state of mind. Your state of mind determines your state of being. Key word, your state of mind determines your state of being. My state of mind doesn't determine your state of being. Your state of mind doesn't determine my state of being. We choose our actions. Every action results in a reaction. The determining factor is how we truly perceive our actions. See, karma is another word you often hear used instead of cause and effect. But the principle of karma is based on cause and effect. Only thing karma is the dogmatic interpretation of cause and effect. That's what karma has become. I know those of you who have heard me speak, you may often hear me use the word dogma. Some of you may be familiar with this word, others maybe not. So let me give a little light on dogma and exactly what dogma is. Dogma is a principle or a set of principles laid down by an authority as incontrovertibly true. It serves as part of the primary basis of an ideology or belief system, and it can't be changed or discarded without affecting the very system's paradigm or the ideology itself. So, when a person is applying dogma to science, to philosophy, or to any principles of life, when you apply dogma to it, which is like this fear, or telling someone that let's say, for example, if you're part of a culture that believes that if you're part of a culture that believes that red is the greatest color on earth and there's no color greater than red, and if you wear any other color than red, you will not be accepted into eternity, or you will not be rewarded. You will not reap the positive benefits of life. You now belong to red color dogma. And the same principle could apply to anything else. It could be religious dogma. It could be political dogma. It could be moral dogma, which is something that should be avoided. See, a lot of us get caught up in moral dogma, not even realizing that most of these thoughts, most of these feelings of guilt, remorse, pleasure, pain, satisfaction, these things are programmed responses, programmed reactions. We've been programmed to perceive the world the way that we perceive it. And they say the mind is a terrible thing to waste. If you don't use it, someone or something else will. They'll use it as a tool to execute their will. Now, your mental complexes were constructed by forces outside of yourself. They use you as a tool to complete the task. Whatever the task is that's associated with their agenda. Whatever the agenda is that they're promoting. That is what you that is what you become a tool for. Now, this can take place knowingly or unknowingly. If it takes place knowingly, then you're stupid because you know better, but you pretend like you don't. If this takes place unknowingly, then you're dumb. You just don't know. In certain situations, I'd rather be dumb than stupid, but that's your choice. Now, as I said, they will use you as a tool to complete their task or to execute their agenda. Who are the they? They are the box makers. The undertakers who fit you in a box to take you under. The undertakers are the dissension makers. They keep you on or in the ground so you never rise. That is what they do. They create the boxes that people allow themselves to be trapped in. A lot of people are locked in these boxes due to their moral dogma, due to their emotional dogma, due to their religious dogma, their political dogma, due to their cultural dogma. See, dogma can be applied to so many different things. And see, a lot of times it's not that a certain thing is negative or bad. A lot of times it's the dogma that's associated with it that wears down on a person's psyche. You know, your beliefs shouldn't stress you out. Your beliefs shouldn't oppress you. You shouldn't be oppressed by your beliefs. But to be a believer and to stay a believer is to negate knowledge. So you either believe or you know. You either know or you don't know. But to believe is to go off someone else's word, someone else's interpretation, without verifying anything for yourself. That's what believers do. That is for children. Children are believers. Hope is for adolescents. And fruition is for adults. There's cycles, there's levels. There's cycles, there's levels. Don't get caught up in a repetitious cycle. Don't get stuck on the same level repetitiously because you enjoy that level or you find comfort on that level. Or you have a fear of moving past that level or moving beyond that level. Because a lot of times our fears create our comforts. And our comforts is what causes us to stagnate. And if you're at a standstill, you're not moving. You're idle. To be without movement is to be without vibration. This is needed for growth. If there's no growth, you're dead. If there's no vibration, you're dead. That's the purpose of these boxes that these box makers are constructing. Is to keep you dead, dumb, deaf, and blind. So, as long as you're dumb, deaf, and blind and vacant from your mind, they will occupy your mind and use it for their benefit. Some people are open-minded, some people are just vacant-minded. But ignorance is a choice in this day and age. A lot of people say they don't know or they didn't have someone to tell them. That's not true. They just ignored. They chose ignorance. They embraced ignorance. rejected knowledge. Meaning simple. But yet we take some of the simplest things and make them seem so complex. But then we also have a tendency to take complex things and make them simple. But sometimes complex things need to be simplified and made plain for the people to comprehend. Because when you use a lot of big words and a big jargon, people get lost in that. You make it plain and some people still get lost in that. So imagine when you add all of the big words and the jargon and all of the philosophical talk. You really have people lost. But this is how you create believers, followers. To follow. Fall low. We follow a lot of belief systems. People tend to get confused. You know, they'll tell people, you know, always listen to your gut and, you know, your intuition. But don't confuse your emotional intuition with spiritual intuition. Excuse me. Don't confuse your emotional intuition with spiritual intuition. They're not the same. Spiritual intuition comes from the soul, in the spirit world. Emotional intuition comes from the physical world around you. So, a lot of times that gut feeling gets altered. If you have parasites in the gut, you really can't go off that gut feeling because that gut may be hijacked by parasites and the parasite is given parasitic intuition. Now your thoughts and your actions are all distorted. Yeah, so I'm not really going to take this on too much further, but I just wanted to touch on dogma and just tell you, beware of dogma. It's not good for you. Dogma bites. Don't let dogma bite you in the ass.